10th of July 2016, the Euro 2016 final. Portugal takes on the hosts France in Saint-Denis. It was Portugal's chance to win their first ever major international trophy. Something they were so close to reaching on their home soil back in 2004. The setbacks were huge for the Portuguese from the very get-go. Not only France had an advantage on the pitch, but also Cristiano Ronaldo was injured in the first half after Dimitri Payet's fall. But in the 109th minute, history happened.
Eder shot! Eder smashes Portugal onto the verge.
The unlikely hero, Eder, who found the net 6 times in the club season with Swansea and Lille, scored from distance to win the Euros for Portugal. Fernando Santos, the national team coach, was on top of the world, alongside Cristiano, who temporarily took his place on the bench. Fast forward to 2024, and Fernando Santos is on the verge of sacking from Azerbaijan. What? How? Where? It's the topic of today's video. Many of you will remember this photo from the 2022 World Cup. This photograph comes from a round of 16 match against Switzerland, in which Santos benched Cristiano Ronaldo and let him play for 17 minutes only. The same thing happened against Morocco, whom Portugal lost to and got knocked out in the quarterfinals. The game against Morocco would also turn out to be the last match for Fernando as a Portuguese national team coach, which meant he was now searching for a new job. He wouldn't wait too long for it though. Santos became a Polish national team manager in January 2023. The reactions around the country were optimistic. I must say, we were deep in the trenches post 2022 World Cup. Yes, Poland advanced to the knockout stages for the first time since 1986, but the Polish FA just released Czesław Michniewicz. The results under him were alright, but the main reasons behind the sacking were a painful style of play, which basically was Mourinho sparking the bus put to the extreme measures, and the scandal around bonuses for the Polish national team from the government after qualifying to World Cup knockouts. Here came the man who can deliver. Fernando won trophies, plays good-looking football, and can manage the atmosphere of the dressing room. We were set maybe not for the golden era, but definitely some good times. Before we continue though, let's get this video to 100 likes. If we get there within the first week, we will do Fernando's career restart in Football Manager. Thank you, and now back to the video. And oh, how wrong we were. While Poland won against Germany for the second time ever under Fernando Santos, we have to keep in mind this was just a friendly. And when it comes to the competitive matches, we had the Euro 2024 qualifiers. The loss against Czechia in Fernando's debut was quick and painful, with 2 conceded goals in the first 3 minutes. The win against Faroe Islands was also painful to watch. To be fair, without a handball and a penalty, it would be a devastating draw. But there is a match that is always going to be a part of Polish football history, and not for the good reasons. Despite winning 2-0 against Moldova by half-time, the Polish national team managed to bottle this game in a spectacular fashion. We're not only talking about conceding 2 goals, we're talking about conceding 3 goals. Ion Nikolaevsku's double and Władysław Babochłow's rebound were enough to make it a dark day in Polish football history. Fernando met his inevitable fate after an unconvincing loss to Albania in Tirana, which was combined with a huge wave of criticism. We will discuss it later in the video. The next manager of the Polish national team is Michał Probierz, who is in charge to this day. He guided Poland to Euro 2024 via playoffs, but there we were eliminated in the group stage. While we are still far from the level we were on in 2016, there are some signs of progress. For example, we finally see some attempts to include the new talent, recently being Michael Ameo and Maxi Oyedele, who I made a separate video about. Continuing with Fernando, he didn't have to wait for a new job for too long. In January 2024, he joined one of the top Turkish sides, Beşiktaş. Now, I'm not the most avid Turkish league follower, but Fernando only lasted 4 months, so I had to dive into the results and I see the point. The form under Santos was very up and down. The only good month was February, with 3 wins and a draw, but the rest of the stint? Despite the good start with wins over Çaykur Rizespor and Fatih Karagümrük, Fernando's team kept losing games, including the more important ones against the likes of Galatasaray or Sivasspor. Fernando was fired after failing to win for 5 games in a row, which is way too much for Beşiktaş standards. But even after that stint, the Azerbaijani FA decided to hire Santos back in June. The mission for the Portuguese is to help the Azeris qualify for Euro 2028, which would be the nation's first major international tournament ever. The problem is, in the Nations League, the team did not even score a point so far, even against Estonia. which makes the prospect of sacking bound to happen. With all the recent history covered, let's now go back to the Poland days, because we need to ask ourselves, how did this downfall happen? How did it happen so that the coach who won the Euro 2016 and the Nations League in 2019 now cannot even aspire Azerbaijan to get a decent result? When Fernando got appointed to manage the Polish national team, we've heard a lot about how the team is going to combine results with a style of play, which was missing under Michniewicz's days. We were told the team is going to be rebuilt to include the newer generation of players, and we will see new faces. Fernando will monitor the domestic league for talents or involve Poles into his stuff. And these are only a few of the points he mentioned. Yeah. Do you remember that loss to Moldova? Despite this being a total embarrassment for Poland, Fernando was still claiming the team is developing and making progress. A couple of months earlier, he criticized the idea of playing a friendly against Germany, which was Jakub Błaszczykowski's farewell game, because the team needed to prepare for the match against Moldova. Fernando was partially right, although he immediately said something else in the statement a day later, but once again, we're talking about Moldova, 171st place in the FIFA rankings. Their best player, a left-back Oleg Reabciuk, was a regular starter for Olympiacos in Greece at the time, and the second best player, Ion Nicolaescu, who scored a double in that game, was a part of a mid-table team in Israel, Beitar Jerusalem. At the same time, Poland's Adam Buksa, who was collecting minutes in Ligue 1 runners-up loans, wasn't even on the bench. Fair enough, he was injured in the first couple of months, but he was eligible to play starting from the friendly with the Germans. When it comes to the new call-ups, there were zero experiments. The only player who was Santos' own vision was Raków Częstochowa's central midfielder Ben Lederman, who, you guessed it, did not even play a game for Poland. At the same time, in September 2023, Santos called up Grzegorz Krychowiak after dropping him for the first two international breaks. The man who was already playing for a later relegated Abha in Saudi Arabia and had his last proper good match with Poland in 2019, except a good substitution against Sweden in World Cup playoff in 2022, where he won a penalty. Kamil Gorsicki also found his way to the national team, not when he was in great form at the end of the 2022-23 season, but when he was out of it in the new campaign. And let me tell you, there were people ready and asking for a chance in the national team. The names include Paweł Szołek, who may have already played for the national team, but that was a long time ago. He is a Legia Warsaw's right winger slash wingback, who was called a right back by Fernando. Paweł played a total of a half against Faroe Islands, and only got a call up because Zalewski, a left winger slash wingback, got injured. There was also Mateusz Wieteska, who was having a great season with Clermont Foot in Ligue 1. He played only in Santos' last game against Albania. Bartosz Slisz also didn't play much despite having a great form in Legia Warsaw. It was a total of 25 minutes. There was also no assistant manager added to Santos' staff from Poland, apart from Grzegorz Mielcarski, who Fernando knew from the days of FC Porto, despite the Polish FA proposing Łukasz Piszczek or Tomasz Kaczmarek. In short, the national team looked similar to the days of Adam Nawałka slash Jerzy Brzęczyk in terms of personnel. And when it comes to how we played, there was no clear tactic and play style. We needed individual models of brilliance to do anything in those games, and there weren't many. There was no innovation. There was not even a real interest from Fernando himself, though we've been told he watches up to 70 matches a week. He only appeared once or twice during the Polish league game, and that was it. How do you explain no new players in the national team then? Now, with the Poland stint covered, it's time to look at what happened with Besiktas. I went down to a little bit of a rabbit hole on Reddit to find out what the fans of the Turkish club think of the Portuguese manager. Their opinions were nearly entirely negative. The main point being the lack of an actual tactic and lack of the ability to get the best out of attacking players, something people already raised as an issue when Fernando was leaving the Portugal job. And now, Azerbaijan. Although there are reports saying that there are some small good signs, like the team being disciplined when defending, there are already some scars. For example, despite a promise of bringing a member of staff from Azerbaijan, that wasn't fulfilled so far. There is not much hope in terms of Santos turning Azerbaijani football around, and it's not even that much of his fault. So, what's the conclusion? Fernando's teams lack innovation. They lack also actual tactical direction or new ideas, or new players. He just uses whatever is known already. Fernando is already 70 years old, and it looks like his, after all, very successful career is coming to a close. To put it into comparison, I remember what happened to the style of play in Crystal Palace. the Premier League club I followed the most when Roy Hodgson was in charge between 2017 and 2021, as well as 2023 and 24. Roy was already over 70 years old when he took over for the first time, and we could pretty much notice the same pattern. The tactic was a park the bus, there was little innovation, the Eagles relied a lot on Wilfried Zaha's moments of brilliance, and the only really new young talents in the team were Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who only got his chance thanks to an injury crisis, and Eberechi Eze, signed from Queen's Park Rangers in 2020. Looks like it's a trend among managers of the age of 70 or older. So my question to you is, will Fernando Santos retire from managing once he leaves the Azerbaijani job, or maybe he will magically turn things around? Is there something else waiting for him, or will he call it a day? Leave your thoughts in the comments down below. And thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed despite it being kind of a sad story. Hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, I will be very grateful for that. 100 likes and we're making a manager career restart for Fernando in Football Manager. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in the next one.